Welcome. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, and this is your latest news, guys. Right, this story, it is a story that could potentially massively affect Rangers hugely, given the fact that the club, the chairman and the board and the manager and Niels Koppen have all spoken about the importance of bringing in a transfer trading model. A trading model is central on buying players, making them better and selling them for higher fees. That's what it works on. Now, that is the hope for Rangers, that is a way we can generate massive amounts of money to move the club forward, because Scotland as a league does not attract huge sponsorship deals from TV companies, from external companies, stadium naming rights, shirt sponsorship deals, kit deals. All of those that pale massively into insignificance compared to the English Premier League, to the EFL Championship even, and to a number of other leagues around Europe, particularly for clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, Paris Saint-Germain, FC Porto, Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, for example. Now, the transfer fees obviously have been around forever. The fact that if you want to buy a player from another club and that player is under contract for 3 years, 2 years, however, you therefore submit a bid to the club therefore accepts or rejects. If you accept, you negotiate the fee, you negotiate with the player, you agree a fee and the player is transferred. That's pretty much how it works. Now, obviously, the last great shake-up in football was the Bosman ruling, which obviously allowed clubs to sign players who are out of contract for nothing. Clubs have no rights over those players anymore, and those players could therefore move for free, meaning the players got all the signing-on fees, got all the wages, etc., etc. Now, there is a new legal ruling come out today where FIFA's transfer rules have been branded as illegal by Europe's highest court. Now, obviously, this law would affect Europe. I'm not sure, obviously, what impact it would have on the United States or on Saudis or on Far East or on so on and so forth. But it's a massive, huge ruling. It is a landmark ruling that really could just shake up the whole world of football and also greatly affect clubs who depend on transfer fees and money coming into the club from selling players, particularly smaller clubs in England, Scottish clubs, smaller clubs across the continent who depend on that, setting up an academy, but getting players, making them better, selling them on for big fees to keep their club going. Now, the European Court of Justice, has backed Lassana Diarra, who is former Chelsea, Portsmouth, Arsenal midfielder, in his case against FIFA. Now, what was this case? Lassana Diarra, former French international, who is now 39, sued FIFA because they imposed a £16 million fine on him. That fine was because his former club, Lokomotiv Moscow, sacked him after he allegedly boycotted training and playing over a pay dispute. Diarra says he wasn't being paid correctly or wasn't being paid, so therefore refused to train, refused to play. Lokomotiv Moscow then sacked him and demanded the money back, transfer fee money back for the wages they'd already paid him, and that amounted to 16 million, which FIFA then fined him to get the money out of him to give to Moscow. Now, this case has gone all the way to the Luxembourg-based European Court of Justice. Now, Lassana Diarra's lawyer was a guy called Jean-Louis Dupont, who you may remember was the guy behind the Bosman ruling. He was the guy that represented Jean-Marc Bosman in the rule that obviously, changed the whole idea of once a player is out of contract, he can go where he wants. So now the ECJ have ruled that the present regulations over transfer fees break the law on freedom of movement. Now, countries' laws, European law states that people have the right to leave their jobs, to break their contracts and move on the same way that you and I do. We sign a contract with the company we work for. If we decide we want to go to another company, we resign, we leave, we move on, and we go and work for another company. That is our right. But football works slightly differently. You sign a contract for a club. If another club wants you, they've obviously got to pay for you. Now, the ECJ have said that this is illegal, that FIFA and clubs under FIFA's guidance are not allowed to do this, that this is restricting people's right to change job as they want and when they want. The court ruled the rules in question are such as to impede the free movement of professional footballers wishing to develop their activity by going to work for a new club. Those rules impose considerable legal risks, unforeseeable and potentially very high financial risks, as well as major sporting risks on those players and clubs wishing to employ them, which taken together are such as to impede the international transfers of those players. Now, we don't know the full ramifications of this ruling. The final ruling will be published later today. If this ruling is exceptionally strong and goes exceptionally against transfer fees, it could force the transfer fees to be ripped up, and players will be allowed to break their contracts and move when they want, not when the club wants. This would mean that FIFA loses its authority over the transfer system, and clubs obviously start to lose their authority over their players. It means that, as I said, players will be allowed to break their contracts and change clubs when they want, not when the club wants. Okay. Now, this would obviously greatly affect the current system, where clubs, particularly those smaller clubs, if you talk about some of the smaller clubs in Scotland, some of the smaller clubs in England, depend on transfer fees for their survival, particularly in leagues where there is not huge other external revenue incomes from, for example, sponsorship, TV deals, etc. Now, such an income would lead such a ruling, a strong ruling saying that FIFA can no longer put into place transfer fees for players, would lead to big stars being able to move to whatever club they want, whenever they want, for the biggest, highest wages. Now, this, of course, would disadvantage a number of clubs. It would obviously put great advantage into the likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, the clubs that have vast financial wealth and do not depend on transfer fees to survive. These are clubs that have financial benefactors, that have massive income revenue streams from TV deals, from sponsorships, from stadium naming rights, from kit sponsorships, from kit deals, from boot deals, image rights. These clubs coin in millions, billions of pounds, dollars, euros from all these things. Certainly something that doesn't happen in Scotland and doesn't happen with Rangers. In its summary of the ruling, the court has added this: restrictions on free movement of professional players may be justified by overriding reasons in the public interest in ensuring the regularity of interclub football competitions by maintaining a certain degree of stability in the player rosters of professional clubs. But these rules have as their object the restriction and even prevention of cross-border competition by unilaterally recruiting players under contract with another club or clubs about whom it is alleged that the employment contract was terminated without just cause. The possibility of competing by recruiting trained players, an essential role in professional football sector. This is really risky. This is a situation that we are, like I said, that we wait to see what the final ruling is and the impact it will have. And we're also waiting on a response from FIFA. Now, if it is that this ruling comes out and says that transfer fees are now illegal and that players can break and move contracts whenever they see fit, it would obviously put Rangers' trading model out of the window. It would obviously leave a situation as well where clubs will be held to ransom by players, and players obviously will greatly get the whip hand and the upper hand even more. This is a really bad move for football. It really genuinely is. Now, I can see, of course, the argument for this, that as normal people, and footballers are normal people, but people like you and I, we can break contracts, we can move when we want, we can go to new clubs, not new clubs, new businesses whenever we want. We can do all those things. We have a freedom of movement in our jobs. If I decided tomorrow that I didn't want to work for the company that I work for now, I could go in and put my letter of resignation in, and 4 weeks later, after my notice period, could leave my job and go and start working for a new company or doing whatever it is I want to do. Footballers obviously don't have that luxury. They can't resign, they can't break contracts, etc., etc. They're very much, sort of tied down to these very lucrative deals. Now, like I said, if it comes out that the ECJ says that this is now illegal and that players can do what they want when they want, this will have a major effect on a number of clubs and obviously on some lower league clubs as well, leading to, I think, clubs either going to amateur status or going out of business completely. So it remains to be seen what happens. I genuinely hope that the ECJ recognise that whilst in the ideal world that this will be the case for footballers, it cannot be to enable clubs and in community clubs, clubs that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, that are run for the benefit of their supporters, and supporters rely on, to go bust. They cannot allow them to go to the wall. This could genuinely happen, I feel. And like I said, it puts into a real chance that Rangers' trading model could be thrown out of the window and put Rangers in a dire financial situation where we are reliant solely on kit deals, sponsorship deals, stadium naming deals, Edmiston House, TV deals, which, as we know, are all absolutely shocking at the moment and would lead to the club having a massively huge reduced budget, which would lead to us losing our better players and having a situation where we cannot recruit any top level talent. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below on what is, I think, a very black day for football. And again, the ECJ and the EU interfering where it is not wanted. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, please press that sub, like, drop a comment, and let me know your thoughts and opinions. Thank you. Remember always,